Let's just check the levels on the thing. Blah blah
Check,
blah.
check. 1, 2,
All
1,
right.
2.
You haven't been able to hear me speak. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, Jesus Christ. I apologize. All this time it's been quiet, and nobody's told me. Well, sorry about that. I thought all this time I was coming up. Well, phooey. Sorry for those of you who are watching. I've been talking for like 20 minutes now, or 10 minutes. I've been talking for 10 minutes, and you haven't been able to hear me. Whoopsie. So I'm back. I'm back in. Sorry about the audio snafu at the start. Forgot to turn on the webcam mic. All right, so, and because I can only listen to, like, myself, and the audio, so I haven't had an opportunity to check in. My mic is on now. All right, so as I was saying, so this
Shit I be talking about. Half rapping ass motherfuckers. You think it's a game? You think it's a fucking game? Come on.
Oh my god.
What's my name? DMX and I be the best. You see the rest, they looking like they need a rest. One more time.
God.
I'm gonna spit at you some shit that's gonna get at you. Be fucking with your mind. Stop talking shit. Cause you out there running your mouth. You really don't know who you fucking with.
You know, someone
Here we
who
go again. How many times do I have to tell you, rap suckers? Like I have no friends.
You know, for someone that wants to get this over with, you really do need to stretch things out.
It's just it popped in my head.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Well, that's going in the blooper reel. Mix down selected clip. That gets saved to the blooper, which I also have to put together, our blooper reel. Oh, the other thing that I do is I have a series of presets for the file to make it sound better. So I've got de-reverb, DS, a volume leveler, an equalizer, processing, and a hard limiter. So on top of the raw audio, that's what gives it that little touch. And I've tweaked each of these settings so that it comes out sounding better than just the raw audio at the beginning.
All right. In 3, 2. Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch.
All right, so whoops, didn't mean to zoom in that much. I mean to zoom in horizontally and maybe back it off just a tad.
Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
This is issue number 69. No jokes there. I'm just going to leave it alone. This is Bane. We are covering Bane at the request of Ariel. So Bane, a very interesting character. And for those of you that have DC Universe, which I highly suggest you at least get the 30-day trial or whatever that early trial period is, so you can watch the Harley Quinn animated TV series. That version of Bane is absolutely hilarious. I mean, the whole show is soup to nut.
You take out that unnecessary is, that duplicate.
Absolutely hilarious. I mean, the whole show is soup to nuts. definitely one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. One of the funniest cartoons I've ever seen. I'll put it that way. And just every episode is it's chef's kiss, masterfully done. And but the version of Bane, he's so petty.
I am so glad that you're cracking yourself up because I haven't seen this.
Oh my God, you really do need to sign up for it, just so you can watch the show.
I hate the number of times I say.
You need to sign up for it, just
I really have to get better at it. It's something I've really tried to focus on in my regular speech.
You really do need to sign up for it, just so you can watch the show. I don't want to spoil anything, but suffice to say, pretty much the entire show is absolutely hilarious.
Okay.
But Bane and the Legion of Doom. So we're not going to be talking about that version of Bane. We're going to be talking about the comics version of Bane. But a couple housekeeping items before we get started. We have 2 new patrons. So thank you so much to Jonathan, my cousin John, and Tyler, who have signed up recently. John, I apologize. You signed up a couple of weeks ago, but I forgot to mention your name last time we did the recordings. But Jonathan and Tyler.
That but is unnecessary, so I will drop that.
The recordings. Jonathan and Tyler, thank you so much for signing up. And Ray from Into the Night, he upped his patronage. So Ray is now at the $3 level. So thank you so much, Ray. So you will all be getting stickers from me. So everybody send me your address. John, I'm fairly certain I have yours. But Tyler and Ray, give me your address and I will make sure that I will send you a sticker. Even Ray, I will send one all the way literally around to the other side of the world, down under.
Does that mean that the...
There we go again with the ums.
Down under.
Does that mean that the sticker gets delivered backwards or something? Is that how it
upside
works?
down, I think.
Oh, okay.
Upside down.
All right.
So
There's another It's gotten to the point now where I can almost see the waveform, what an looks like, and I go, that's an I have to get rid of that.
So, and speaking of the stickers, a reminder about our sticker giveaway, and we are actually recording this on podcast review day, which is a thing. I didn't know that was a thing until I checked Twitter this morning. Recording this on podcast. Are actually recording this on podcast review day, which is a thing. I didn't know that was a thing until I checked Twitter this morning. But if you leave us this morning, but if you
gotta be surgical with that shit.
Check Twitter this morning. But if you leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or Podchaser, and you send us a screen cap of that review with your address and you email that to capesonthecouch@gmail.com, we will send you a sticker. So that's a fun little reminder. And then also to tie into that's a fun little reminder. And then also to tie into
a lot of us. This is a word of advice for podcasters. Just take it out of your vocabulary, and then you don't have to worry about editing it out later.
And then also to tie into the Patreon discussion, as we have mentioned in the last,
or just don't be an idiot like me and learn how to
Patreon discussion
English correctly.
As we have mentioned in the last couple episodes, we're going to introduce a new feature that we hope that you will thoroughly enjoy. And for our patrons, it's going to be a monthly trade paperback review. And so this month for February, we will be reviewing the Joker Endgame trade paperback. But as a special preview, we're going to be releasing that episode next week. We're going to be releasing that in lieu of a full episode on timing and scheduling, whatever we can get together and get everything done. So the next episode is going to be a special sneak preview of what the Patreon Review of what the Patreon reviews will sound
There
like.
you
And
go.
then from there, you will
Beautiful.
have to go to patreon.com/capes on the couch and sign up
Hey, John.
to get access to those reviews. And the podcast plug this week. Normally, we like to plug indie podcasts because I feel like the name.
It's funny. I don't know when you came into the thing, but I was literally just talking about you and the fact that you, I owe you a sticker. So, and I have to text you and your brother and your dad, so we can all get together. I meant to follow up on that.
Because I feel like the big name celebrity podcast, they don't need any help. Joe Rogan doesn't need any help plugging his show.
Right. Right.
But this plugging his show.
Right.
But this show, I'm not plugging out of anything other than the fact that I think it is a hilarious show that I feel should be listened to. And that's Ask Eliza. Eliza Schlesinger. Eliza Schlesinger. I am a huge fan of hers, have been since she was doing Comedy Central Presents specials like pre-Netflix. I saw her back when she did the Stress Factory and in New Jersey. It's a small.
Let's see. I could probably take out that little section.
Back when she did the Stress Factory, it's a small comedy venue. So I've been a fan of hers for a long time. So the podcast is her. Long time. So
Cut that and that. And there we go.
time. So podcast is her assistant, Emily, AKA Baby Arm, and her producer, Scott, AKA Hot Scotty. And they
Also try and take out those little
producer Scott, aka Hot Scotty, and they talk to guests. They answer your questions about life, marriage, comedy, whatever else is running rampant through Eliza's very, very warped brain. And so if you are
always with the I go and then so.
very warped brain. So if you are at all a fan of offbeat comedy, then I encourage you to check it out. She's got umpteen specials on Netflix, and so you can check it out.
Here again with the so. If should be a drinking game.
Specials on Netflix, so you can check it out. I don't know if there's a website, but I get it through my podcatcher, and you can find it basically anywhere you get podcasts. That's Ask Eliza, ILIZA. So check that out. That's our podcast. EA. So
just take out that ramble bit.
ZA. That's our podcast plug of the week. Like I said, it's a big name podcast. Normally we do the smaller ones and try and give other like-minded shows a rub. But I just said, hey, you know what? I've been listening to it a lot lately, and it's damn funny.
Awesome.
All right, so moving into the background for Bane.
And then the other thing I do is while I am editing, I have it on a separate window. I'm not going to bother sharing it right now, but I have the show notes open, and I try to timestamp everything as I'm editing, rather than go back and re-listen to it when it's done, like while I'm editing. So I just made a note. Okay, so the background timestamp is going to start about 5 minutes and 20 seconds in. So that will, whoops. Let me take out just that little blip there.
All right, so moving into the background for Bane. Bane, created by Chuck Dixon, Doug Mensch, and Graham Nolan, debuted in Bane. Bane.
Yep.
Bane, created by Chuck.
So screwed that up. So
Bane, created by Chuck Dixon, Doug Mensch, and Graham Nolan, debuted in Batman: Vengeance of Bane #1, January 1993. Doug Mensch, he of the Moon Knight co-creator.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that name pop up. I said, ooh. So Bane is the son of King Snake, a villain who escaped prison in Santa Prisca, which is a Caribbean island, and the government opted to imprison Bane for the rest of his father's sentence. Yeah.
So many.
I'm just going to take out that. I find there's a lot fewer mistakes when I'm reading because I'm generally not trying to think on my feet as much. So if I'm reading the background or asking Doc a question, I tend to be a lot smoother in my delivery, and so I don't have to cut as much. So typically the parts of the show where I have to edit the most are at the beginning and at the end, where it's more free-flowing and I'm forced to just think on my feet, because the problem is my brain operates faster than my mouth. So then my mouth tries to catch up to my brain, and it can never do that. It's like never, never, never. It's 37 years. I haven't figured that out
to
yet.
imprison
So.
Bane for the rest of his father's sentence. Yeah.
So many ethical concerns here.
The fact not only is that messed up,
Stick that out.
Concerns here.
not only is that messed up, it wasn't just Bane, it was King Snake. It's not just that.
Take out that because I didn't realize I screwed that up as well. Whoops. Whoops. I'll shift delete that. There we go.
Here.
It's not just that. Bane was still in utero when he was imprisoned. So Santa Prisca imprisoned Bane's mother and Bane, and they said, well, the two of you were going to serve King Snake's jail sentence. Snake's jail sentence.
Predetermined fate taken to a...
Oh,
Yeah.
my noise gate didn't take that out.
Fate taken to a whole new level. That is horrifying.
You get argument for me.
Take out the sounds. I need to get a new microphone. There's just because I work right now with, for those of you that have seen the live shows or the live streams, I work with. Let me see if you can double check if you can see that. It's an Audio-Technica 2020 is the microphone that we use. We have two of them, and so they're good. They're good, solid microphones. But I think I'm looking for maybe something something different, like maybe a Q2, and something that will take out some of the background noise, so it'll be a little easier to, God willing, to edit, so I don't have to worry as much about it picking up some of the background noise, because there is some ambience here in the room, you know, and that's why I run the voice denoiser, and I run all of the post-production things that I have set up, so that it cuts down on the amount of stuff that comes through. But
Horrifying.
You get no argument from me. So young Bane.
So again with the
for me. So young Bane took the time to educate himself. He learned several languages. He studied meditation. He also learned many forms of martial arts and committed his first murder at the age of 8 years old.
All right, so now any chance he had to get a lawyer and say that this was unjust, he pretty much destroyed. Nice.
Yes. He carried around a little teddy bear called Orsito that had a space in the back for him to carry a knife that he would use to protect himself. So he has a recurring nightmare in which he sees a vision of this demon bat coming at him. So he ends up with a fear of bats, which we'll get to
problem
at him. So he ends up with.
There's all these little sounds, and the difficulty when trying to edit and multitask and look at something else, because a lot of I don't want to say a lot of times. Well, yeah, I guess a lot of the times I'm editing, but I'm also doing other things. because I don't necessarily have to look at the editing window unless I'm actually making a cut. But then I'll hear something and then it's, oh shit, okay, now I have to go back and find it. Let me save my current progress. There we go.
So he ends up with a fear of bats, which we'll get to momentarily. So then the prison just full blown just goes, they're going to violate the Geneva Convention.
Let me just take out that,
Blown just goes, they're going to violate the Geneva Convention. They might as well go full bore on it. They start experimenting on him with this drug called venom. He's the first person to survive
Mm-hmm.
the experiments because, the first subject never survived. Because, the first subject. Because, the first subject never survives any sort of experimentation. That's just typically how these things work. So he survives. So he survives, but he requires a regular injection every 12 hours or he will be debilitated.
Yeah.
So he ends up heading to Gotham City to confront Batman, who he believes is the personification of this demon bat in his dreams. So he breaks out and he says, there is a Batman. He is the one I must fight.
Yep.
So he blows up Arkham Asylum. He allows the inmates to escape and then forces Batman to expend constant energy and time fighting and recapturing them. And this takes months.
Yep.
This is an extended battle where Bruce is just beaten down mentally, physically. He is exhausted. He is tired. He is worn down. Once Batman is drained and exhausted, he has finally recaptured everybody. He stumbles and staggers back home to Wayne Manor, and that's where Bane.
Those little mouth sounds. You don't know until you start podcasting all the many, many noises, the little weird sounds that your body makes, especially your mouth. And it's not until you hear them played back to you while you're editing that you go, do I sound like that? Oh, God.
To Wayne Manor, and that's where Bane shows up.
Now, let's put this in perspective. Although there are several people that are able to figure out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, the fact that this guy makes his entrance into the comic universe and says, yeah, I'm getting that guy. And I'm going to find out everything about him. I find out his greatest secret. I let him exhaust himself. And by the way, I'm a badass. Not a bad way to start.
Shorten that just a bit.
Badass. Not a bad way to start.
Shorten that. These little.
And I'm going to find out everything about him. I find out his greatest secret. I let him exhaust himself. And by the way, I'm a badass. Not a bad way to start.
No, definitely. That's, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. That's, and we'll get into that in a little bit later, but I think.
Bad way to start.
No, definitely. That's, and we'll get into that.
Bad way to start.
And we'll get into that in a little bit later, but I think Bane sort of peaks with his intro, and there's not really anywhere left for him to go beyond that. So,
Oh, you mean kind of like Kane? Just saying.
so Bane very famously, I think this is the thing.
Just saying. Oh, you mean kind of like Kane? Just saying.
So Bane very famously,
That's so I'm going to leave in because that is the natural transition point. But hold on, I'm just on. I'm on Discord right now. I'm just chatting and letting some folks know.
Very famously, I think this is the thing that Bane is most known for. Bane breaks Bruce Wayne's back. He lifts him up over his head, does the ultimate backbreaker, literally, and
Yep.
he essentially paralyzes Bruce Wayne. And he paralyzes Bruce Wayne. If you've seen The Dark Knight Rises, it's, at least in that respect, the move is the same, that he drops him over his knee and breaks his back. So Bane ends up defeated by the new Batman, Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael, who cuts Bane deeply enough to force him to overdose on venom. Jean-Paul Valley, by the way, is a character I definitely think we need to do.
Yeah. You know, near Fugues.
Yeah, Jean-Paul Valley is.
Yeah, near Fugue State. Just really trippy stuff.
Yeah, Jean-Paul Valley is... he's got a lot of issues, that guy. So Bane recovers from his venom addiction in prison, and then once he's out, he fights alongside Bruce to stop gangs from peddling this venom derivative to gangs, because he claims...
Take that out.
to gangs because he claims penance for his crimes, and says, I'm going to go find my father, because I know we announced at the top of the background that he is the son of King Snake, but we don't know that at the time.
Right.
We just know that he was imprisoned in utero. So he's taken in as a protege of Ra's al Ghul, and you can listen to that. Ra's al Ghul, and you can listen to that episode.
So Ra's al Ghul. See, now I'm going to go over to my show notes. And I always try and be fairly thorough with the show notes, because I think it's important that there's some frame of reference for what we discuss in the show, topic-wise, especially if I make a reference to something. I feel like I don't want to just... Because each of our episodes are, in theory, self-contained, but we do make reference to prior episodes throughout. I mean, this is the 6th and 9th episode at this point. So we do make reference to those prior episodes, and we don't want to just leave the listeners going, wait, what was that? So I try and at least throw in some indication that, if you... like this with the Ra's al Ghul. Like, if you want to find out more about that, here's the link to the Ra's al Ghul episode. I mean, you can scroll through our RSS feed, or you can find the link directly in the show notes.
Al Ghul, and you can listen to that episode to find out more about Ra's.
Yeah, because that's healthy.
And so Ra's leads him into a
Take out that bit.
Because that's healthy.
So Ra's leads him into a rematch with Bruce, who ends up winning. And then after
Again, those little mouth noises.
winning, and then after there's this arc where he's thought, maybe I'm the son of Thomas Wayne and I'm Bruce's half-brother. He discovers his true father is King Snake, and he confronts him. And then in the ensuing battle, he saves Batman, but gets basically fatally shot.
Excuse me.
Saves Batman, but
Take out that.
saves Batman, but gets basically fatally shot. And Batman bathes Bane in a Lazarus pit to heal him of his wounds. So, and as we mentioned in the Ra's episode and a couple other episodes, Lazarus pits may heal you physically, but they certainly do a number on you mentally. So
Take out that loud sniff.
mentally. So without getting into too much more, in the New 52, the New 52, the sort of rewrite of his history, Bane is
I'm reading. Why do I saying
his
so
history.
much?
Bane is actually the distributor of Venom, and Bane ends up battling the Court of Owls. And then in Rebirth, Bane does a shift back to villainy, and then
I know we glossed over the Secret Six.
villainy, and then gets beaten by Batman, but just barely. I mean, they're basically, it takes everything that Batman has to like just eke out a victory over him. So Bane is a character.
And again, if you want like a full thing, I think Geek History Lesson did an episode on Bane. It's hard because we really try and go like the 5-minute version of the backstory, 10-cent origin, so to speak.
Victory over him. So Bane is a character that is essentially not just a physical specimen, but he is a cunning tactician as well. And this makes him a very deadly adversary for Bruce Wayne and basically any hero that he chooses to stand up against. So delving into the issues.
Okay, so the issue starts at 11:37. Save that. Like I said, that's why I try and catalog.
Delving into the issues, let's just jump right into it. So, and we mentioned this a little bit. The first thing is he never had a childhood. I mean, he was literally raised in a prison, not an institution. He was raised in a prison, a corrupt prison. So again, going back to the sort of the imagery from Dark Knight Rises, say what you will about that film. Say what you will about that film, but I think the whole idea of the pit and the child growing up in that environment, there's a lot that they drew from the comics that is real there. But that, I mean, you don't have a child.
Okay, so again, I was looking over at another window.
That is real there. But that,
it always happens whenever I'm looking away from the window for a split second so I can review the show notes or something. That's when there will inevitably be an or a or something that I need to take out. It always happens whenever I'm not looking. I could watch the screen for 5 minutes straight and I'll have flawless diction and everything will come out smoothly. As soon as I look away and look to another window, all of a sudden I forget how to use words.
That is real there. But that, I mean, you don't have a childhood. I mean, we want to talk about Arrested Development.
Right.
So, Doc.
Oh, boy. So...
Arrested Development, we'll say it was like a 12:10.
To begin,
not to be confused with the hilarious show where they also
people that were considered to people that were considered feral humans in the wilderness, where if you don't have certain cues, you're not ever going to develop a moral compass, and you're already in an environment where, by definition, and I'm not going to get into prison as a whole as an institution, but just the idea that if we take it on face value, the people there have been found to either warrant continued incarceration pending a situation where they can be acquitted, or they have been found guilty and are going to stay there as part of the punishment for their crime. So what I'm getting at is either you're dealing with someone that had bad circumstances,
by the way, how did everybody
whether or not they were in
watching?
control, or people who actively did things to cause harm in society.
This is typically where I said earlier, where Doc is pretty good about
harm in society.
Speaking.
The best you get is ambiguity.
When he's talking about
the standard that we're supposed to uphold in that circumstance is guilt. And that is all that this child is going to see for their whole time growing up.
When he's sort of waxing philosophical.
Their whole time growing up. I don't know
He doesn't often
how you're
need
supposed
a lot of editing other than the reduction
know
in
how you're supposed
his
to
pauses.
pick up on what's important. In other words, no one has the
Yeah, see, like these long.
in other words, no one has the responsibility to raise a child in that circumstance. Are we supposed to say it's the state? Because that's what the foster system is for. That's what orphanages are for. That's not what a prison is for. So you can say that they could lead. So you can say.
And of course, as I say that, I'm like, oh, Doc is pretty good about it. And there he goes with a flub.
So you can say
They don't happen often.
is for. So you can say that this child could be left to die and no one would notice because the people that would, in theory, care don't even have the voice of advocacy. Who's it supposed to be? His parent that's not there? His mother that is unfortunately no longer in the picture? So he grows up with the lesson of either you're going to die this way or you're going to find a way to survive. And as we've seen with all organisms, survival is number one above all other lessons. I hate the term of survival of the fittest because that implies that there is an actual push for what is fit and what is not. It's much more random than that. And I know I'm ticking off some people by saying that. That's not my intention. But in that environment, it's hard to call me wrong. So if you know that the people around you don't care about you, but they will take advantage of if you have certain skills and you happen to be a very smart learner, then you're going to learn what they want you to learn. Not necessarily because you want to, quote unquote, make them proud like you would a parent, but because you know if you do this, they'll let you live longer. And if you learn how to fight, you can not only protect yourself, but you can actually find something that gives you your own personal enjoyment, regardless of what other people think about it. In a way, this is a little more freeing because you don't have to worry about whether or not other people approve, quote unquote, of it. You lived another day. That's all the approval you need. And as long as you continue to repeat this almost in a very simple trial, error, accidental success format, which is incredibly behavioral, then that's all the input you ever need. Who cares what the emotions are behind it? You lived another day. Every single decision that you made where you thought you were closer to death, you stopped doing. If you tried to help someone and they try and shank you back, okay, don't help people. Got it. If you speak a language that no one else knew and you found out that the other person is actually a drug lord that could smuggle things in that'll allow other prisoners to elevate your status so that they won't target you the next
Sorry,
time.
I'm trying to
Learning languages is good.
chat with.
In other words,
I'm chatting, like on Hangouts and stuff with people. So
this is
like,
good.
looking all
In
over
other
the
words,
place.
everything becomes perverted above and beyond what we would consider to be a natural motivation for a child. Children love to explore. Children love to learn. That gets extinguished when they start getting crushed by the other burdens of life.
Yeah. Speaking from personal. Yeah.
Life.
Yeah. Speaking from personal experience. And also, yeah, definitely children love to explore because I have a 10-month-old who's zooming around the house now.
Right. And imagine that same 10-year-old. I'm exaggerating, of course, but imagine that same 10-year-old where, let's say they try and put their finger in a wall socket. Anthony, you going to let your 10-year-old do that?
Well, if my 10-year-old son is still trying to stick his finger in a socket by the time he's 10 years old, then maybe I would let him do it. At 10 months, I'll say, no, don't do that. At 10 years, you go, all right, you got to learn somehow. You go, all right, you got to learn somehow.
This is the point in the episode where I wanted to interject with a George Lopez bit where he's like, "That's how you learn." No, that's okay. That's how you learn. How's he gonna learn? But I couldn't find a way to interject that organically in the episode. I was already straying off topic a little too much about talking about my kid, and I didn't want to. We don't childproof our houses. I said, okay, he's not going to do that no more. That's how you learn.
Learn somehow, right?
Okay, so the point being what I'm getting at is you're using judgment on that. In other words, you're not going to let him get hurt indefinitely, but if it's clear that a child doesn't know better, you're not going to let them take that risk.
No.
Okay, Bane didn't have that. Bane could have taken every single risk he ever wanted. If Bane basically decided that he was going to find a way to get into the electric chair and fry himself, I'm pretty sure they would have just said, wow, I didn't know he could climb that high. Climb that high. Yeah, see, that's the beauty of this entertainment. We can laugh at things like this. But when you look at it from a complete neglect standpoint, the truth is, the reality would be that more than likely he would have ended up, instead of learning multiple languages, he may have very well been mute. He may have heard other people, but he may not have actually been able to incorporate true language, depending on how much people directly paid attention to him.
He would have been like Nell.
We don't know how his sensations would have developed, how his sensory skills would have developed, because you need someone to actually attune that for you. Imagine if someone like him gets put in solitary because they just have nothing better to do. He could have ended up just this blob of human mass that doesn't do anything because there's no way for him to know. And that's way more likely than what they actually got, which was a martial arts awesome dude that could beat you in chess and also outbox you at the same time. In other words, don't ever do anything with chess boxing with Bane. Ever. Sorry. I mean, yeah.
More people saw you with me where you at.
Chess boxing with Bane. Ever. Sorry.
Let's see. The Mystery of Chess Boxing. What's that? 1903. It's a doc, Anthony. It was the devil's side.
I mean, yeah. Thank you. I mean, just say
right.
But that. Just saying. But that's my point. So yes, this is a fabricated story. Yes, this is absolutely ridiculous. It went the opposite direction of what we usually have.
And immune to almost any weapon.
And I can't.
When properly used, it's almost invincible.
And I can't say that they're wrong in the directions that they took. I mean, obviously, shoehorning in the other stuff that we'll get into.
Homicide is illegal and death is a penalty.
Honing in the other stuff that we'll get into. It's
dies,
interesting. It had to be a bat, whatever.
It's the master of the mantis rapture.
Everything else,
we have an APB on an MC killer.
Potentially the best you could have hoped for with that circumstance. I hate to say that because it basically means you got a killer assassin. It means you got a killer assassin that really didn't care much for anyone else.
Yeah.
See, this is the additional content that you don't get to. These are all the things that are going through my head while I'm recording, and these are all the references that I would love to throw out that I can't because it would completely derail the show. But I would love to throw out more hip hop references, more pop culture references. Depending on the character, we can fit them in sometimes, but we don't always have that option.
Really didn't care much for anyone else.
Yeah. I guess that's the biggest stretch of
So I'm left to just keep all these things in my head. So I suppose it makes for a better show.
That's the biggest stretch of credibility in this whole story, is the fact that Bane ended up a somewhat reasonably developed individual and not just a mute with sensory issues.
Yep.
Sensory issues?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next thing is the fear.
Fear. 2008. I think my son is awake. I'm not 100% certain. My wife was napping on the couch while he was taking a nap in the crib. So I'm basically editing as long as he's napping. Yeah, he's awake. I hear him now. Whether my wife is going to go get him or not, I don't know. But so this oh, she's in there with him now. Yay! I hear her clapping for him. But so this may end shortly.
Fear. He's got this fear of bats. He envisions this demon bat. He breaks out of.
Basically, I'll continue editing until. Oh yeah, there's the squealing. I hear him in the background.
Demon bat. He breaks out of the prison, and then he discovers about the Batman, and he realizes that's what I need to do. And he realizes that's what I need to do. I need to go after him. I need to go after him because he is the walking version of all of my fears. To be fear-driven like that, I think, is a dangerous situation. To have that be your primary focus, to have that be your primary motivator, fear of something, and the need to not just overcome that fear, but the need to destroy that fear.
I think. Here he is.
Hello, I am the bear.
Hi guys. I'm streaming on YouTube while I'm editing.
Oh,
Hi, bud. Hello. Hi, Theo. You want to say hi to everybody? You want to wave to the camera? Yeah, Daddy's on the computer right now. Oh, what's Daddy doing? Oh, and then here comes the kitty. I heard you before. Yeah, you were cooing. You were chatting. You were playing with Mommy? Yeah? Were you chatting with Mommy?
oh. Let me know this for you.
Yeah. Did you have a good nap? Yeah. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Sorry. As you can see, you know, my kid is just. Yeah. Yeah, your cousin Jonathan is watching. Say hi, John. Say hi, John. Say hi, John. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, hi, hi. Can I eat you? I'm gonna hug you. I'm gonna peck you. Can I? Nom, 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 nom. Nom, 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 nom. Just want a nibble. Just a nibble. Nom, 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 nom. Oh. He loves to grab my headphones. Every time. Every time.
All
All right, Mommy's gonna go get stuff ready to go to the grocery store.
Okay.
You guys hang out.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Did you get my message earlier? Okay, you're gone. She's out of the room now. Oh boy, Daddy got a lot of messages. So, oh, say hi to Nick. Hey Nick, I didn't know you were watching, but hi. You're gonna go to the grocery store with Mommy? Yeah, you're gonna get some stuff. You're gonna pull on my face. I know this is the comics and psychiatry content you come here for, is watching me, snuggle with my kid. But he's just so cute. Yes. Hey, you're gonna go to the grocery store with Mommy. You're gonna get some cereal, and you're gonna get, because we're going to Florida. You want to tell everybody you're gonna go on a plane? Yeah, you're gonna go on a plane. It's gonna go in the sky. Gonna go zoom. But you're not that scared about it, right? Because you've been a flying baby. You've been a flying baby. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Flying baby. Can you let go of my headphones, please, sir? Can you let go of the headphones, please? Thank you. I'm gonna take these off right now. Yeah, you're not gonna be afraid to fly, cause you've been a flying baby. Zoom into the camera. Zoom into the camera. Zoom into the camera. Hi. Hi. Oh, there's my buddy.
Okay.
You're all set?
I'm gonna put your jacket on.
So my dad's gonna come over and work on the installation.
Today?
Yeah, I texted you before.
You did?
Yeah. I was telling everybody, I said he's gonna go on a plane, but he's not gonna be that afraid, because he's been a flying baby.
Okay.
I'm glad this is the content that you're here for, Nick. And it's not just, me chatting into the camera.
Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. All right.
I have to show everybody your cute little hood. I have to show everybody.
Say, I am the bear.
Oh, look at this face. Look at this face.
I am the bear.
Look at this little snuggle bear. Hi. Hi. You know what I have to do before we go? You need a baby flip. Baby flip. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You be good for Mommy in the grocery store.
We will.
Have fun. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I always have fun at that door.
Bye-bye, Dad.
We'll be
You
back.
can leave the door open.
We'll be back.
Okay.
I'm gonna get stuff for lunch.
Okay.
I'm gonna get rotisserie chicken. Make wraps.
I like that. All right. I don't know what that did for our numbers. Leave the door unlocked, because when my dad comes over. My door is unlocked. So, I'm just announcing to the internet. Yeah, my front door is unlocked. Just come on by. Sorry about that. Where were we? Where was I? Right. I got sidetracked with my kid, He's the cutest thing ever. I love that kid. Wait, oh, can I move this? Yes, I can. Ah, so much better. So much better that I can see the live stream and the chat side by side. So much better. It's so much better. Oh, and now there's a kitty. This is Jackie Chan, aka the Tube. And he is the Tube because he is chubby. Do you see all of this tube? Meow. He is fat and stupid. Yes. What you want to? I'm not going to have you jump on my lap, but you can jump up on the chair.
Destroy that fear. Destroy the what you perceive to be the
And we're back to
personification
work.
of that fear. I think is a very dangerous and frightening mindset, because due to the fact that fear can be very irrational and is, frankly, fear is a great motivator. It is. Let's just put our cards on the table. But fear will get you to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do. Fear will get you to go past your...
Well, it's good to know you're not going to come and rob me, Nick, because I'm pretty sure by the time you get to my house, the door will be locked again. It's a several hour-long trip. But good chatting with you, my friend. Thanks so much for stopping by. Yes, I plan on doing more of this. It was one of those things that I know I had mentioned once or twice on Twitter. I was like, hey, does anybody want to watch me edit? Because, like I said, this takes like hours of my time. But I figure it might be fun to give y'all a behind-the-scenes view as to sort of the process. So this is what I do. I do enjoy this part most of the time. Not as much as I enjoy the actual recording or the researching. Editing, I guess, is probably like the last thing that I enjoy on the list, but it's not bad.
Go past your own personal inhibitions. And so Bane, with this corruptophobia being so inherently a part of who he is, he's willing to go to any lengths to defeat the Bat. That's terrifying in and of itself.
Well, there's also the part that he...
What is it, Chube? Yes, I hear you.
Itself.
Well, there's also the part that he actually has the means to do so. Because let's go ahead and take Bane down a notch. Let's say Bane is your stereotypical pencil pusher with a cubicle, and he has a fear of bats. And he goes on vacation to
I'm sitting with the
a
cat on
cave
my
that
lap.
happens to have a bunch of bats.
Because he is needy and he is stupid.
To a cave that happens to have a bunch of bats. I would like to think that the reaction to that is either he just starts screaming in terror and has a horrible experience and vows never to go on that vacation again, or he runs for his life because doesn't know anything else to do, or maybe he starts swatting at them if they come swarming, which they wouldn't do because most bats don't act that way directly. And that's pretty much all we... Directly. And that's pretty much all we say. And maybe he has some friends that make fun of him for it because it makes for an amusing story that he's able to laugh at later on, although he still has nightmares about it. There's really not much that would happen in someone's life in general.
Cut that pause down just a titch.
About it. There's really not much that would happen in someone's life in general when you have a specific phobia like that. At least not in that way. You would have to have something that is omnipresent. It has to be there all the time and so pervasive that you're able to mold your life around it. The reason Bane is able to do that, to get back to the whole prison thing, is because in incarceration, you really do have the opportunity to be as focused on one thing as you want for any length of time while you're there.
Editing with a
Because
cat
that's
on my
the
lap.
way
This is
it's been
this is
set
my
up.
life.
So that allows for him to develop the types of other techniques that will allow
so stupid.
this to not just be a motivating factor, but to actually be a goal setting and planning factor. So, yeah, great. Now he can focus on all of those tools that he's learned and say, all of this is going to ultimately allow me to conquer my greatest fear in a way that no one ever imagined. In a way, it's heartwarming, I guess. But the other part, of course, is that
I don't think anyone has ever used
as you already
heartwarming and
mentioned,
Bane in the
any
same
emotion
sentence.
that drives a goal will
Well, it's
tend
just-
to
it's-
burn
it's
itself
so heartwarming
out
and
if it's
tender.
not adapted.
Such a
And
tender
if
story.
it's based on, it doesn't matter what the fear is. It can be the fear of snakes. It could be a fear of bats. It could be
Oh, why'd it
the
have to be
fear
snakes?
of running out of money. If you don't make much and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't really care how you're going to get your next paycheck. And sometimes people take some desperate measures. And if you have other problems that are related to that, you don't really care anymore because
I got 99
heaven
problems, but a
forbid
bitch ain't
something
one.
like that happens, you are going to avoid the pain. Human beings are wired to feel loss worse than enjoy gain. In other words, if you are scared of something,
Oh, it's true.
you will
It's
do
damn
your
true.
darndest to avoid actually having the experience of being in the presence of that fear. Then you care about actually enjoying a positive experience, to be happy, or to just simply laugh, smile, do whatever it is that you're supposed to do otherwise. We're just that hardwired. And so someone like Bane having, in this
Hardwired to
case,
self-destruct.
bats as his phobia, it means he's going to do everything he can so that either it's eliminated or avoided. He has enough tools that he can eliminate it, so he'll do that. But no one ever actually said to Bane, dude, did you ever think you could just channel it into something else and not worry about bats?
Have you tried not being afraid?
That's how pervasive it is. When a fear gets pervasive, not just something that is in the back of your mind, but it's something where you can't sleep at night, or in this case, he had nightmares, so it impacts his sleep. When it is so basic to your actual survival, now,
basic.
at least in your own mind, then you can forget just about anything else. And therefore, you're going to lose out on all the other facets of life. So be it. That's the way he looked at it. And kind of tying into the very next one, because we're leading in well.
I don't care about anything other than stopping this
Kind of
goddamn
got
bat.
what he wanted. So
Fear definitely.
We're going to blow up Todd. The streets will run with Razzie Zazzy.
kind of got what he wanted.
Fear definitely is a great motivator. And I know from having been to great motivator, and I know from having been to a Tony from having been to a Tony Robbins conference that Tony speaks often about using fear to drive you towards the thing that you want the most. So you have to frame it in a certain way that you become afraid of not getting what it is that you want the most, and then using that fear to drive you. And that can be incredibly powerful. So as you mentioned, the idea that we're tying into the next thing. So that fear drives him to attack Batman. He breaks the bat. He does something that no one had. That fear. So as you mentioned, the idea that we're tying into the next thing. So that fear.
26:56 starts the next part.
That fear drives him to attack Batman. He breaks the bat. He does something that no one had been able to do before. He broke the bat. He broke the bat. He beat him down mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually to some extent. And then what? You know, as then what? You know, as you mentioned, you know, before we started the Hamilton, what comes next? Then what? You know, as you mentioned, you know, before we what? As you mentioned, you know, before we started the Hamilton, what comes next?
Yep.
So now
what comes next? 27, 22. What comes next?
So
Soon
now
we'll see.
he's now he is George Washington, and you know, or the colonies, and everybody else is King George saying, okay, now what? Okay, now what?
Yep. I'll even reference
Don't come crawling back to me.
I'm going to reference another random thing. So Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. How
Catches Roadrunner. Doc at 27:45.
many cartoons, I don't know the number, but how many cartoons were made with that premise alone?
A lot.
Well, there is one, and it involved a series of pipes where
I know
you
exactly
knew
what you're talking
you know
about.
where
I
I
know
was
exactly
going.
where you're going.
Right. The point is
I'm a Looney Tunes connoisseur.
Wile E. Coyote actually gets his hands around the Roadrunner's leg, and it's not the circumstance he expected. I don't want to spoil it. I know it's decades old. I don't care.
Wile E. Coyote becomes very, very small. He runs through a series of ever decreasingly sized pipes until he's about maybe 3 inches tall. And he runs up and he finally grabs the Roadrunner's leg, who then stares down at him.
Yep.
Meep, meep.
Right.
And then Wiley pulls out a sign, go, okay, you wanted me to catch him. Now what?
Right. So this is true
I'll
for
see if I
all
can find
goals.
that
This is
clip
not
on
specific
YouTube
to Bane. There's
and
nothing
throw that up there
wrong
in
with
the show
having
notes.
a goal. Because you will have motivation. Sometimes turning it around and saying it's a fear of not achieving what you want, as you just said, Anthony. That's fantastic. Anthony talking about Tony. Interesting.
Which is also funny because Doc calls me Tony in my personal life. Not many people do, but Doc is one of those old friends that knew me back when I was going by Tony, and so he's sort of grandfathered in. His daughter calls me Uncle Tony. That group of friends that I know from high school, they all call me Tony, and it's very strange because I have to mentally determine, okay, what name am I going to answer by, depending on the location. Am I going to answer to Tony, or am I going to answer to
Meaning
Anthony?
that you create an end to what you want in life. Think about how scary that is when you say it that way. This is how I want my life to end. Nobody in general really thinks that way, unless they're saying, well, this is how I would view my deathbed with my family surrounding me and it's peaceful, blah, 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 blah. But let's be honest, and be honest with yourself. As long as you're not suffering from acute depression, usually you're thinking that that's years, decades, with human fallacy, centuries away. I mean, we just think it's something in the future that we don't have to worry about in that sense. And yet, the way goals are defined in our mind, we make that the pinnacle of happiness. If I just get this, then I'll be happy, quote unquote. And so it's a fantastic motivator during the process. And as you set benchmarks, you get closer and closer. And it's well portrayed in the comic, actually, because Bane does have some people that are assisting him with all of this. And then the whole Arkham crew just going wild and him loving it and him watching from afar as Batman just gets more and more tired. And you can see the frustration building in Bruce and Bane just waiting for the right moment. And I'm not going to put emotion into it because I'm not the character, but the words that he uses is well enough because he says, after that backbreaker, he says, broken and done. In other words, there is no more.
You have been broken. There is nothing more that you can do. I have defeated you. I am Gotham's reckoning. Only when Gotham is burned to the ground. You have my permission to die.
Words, there is no more. The way the books are written, there is a lot more. I don't want to make it sound like they ended the comics, of course. But it's true that if we set our goals either too low or even if we set high and lofty goals, once we reach them, if we haven't thought about the next thing, then we start to stagnate. The best example I can think of with this in human nature, and it's because of my side thing where I love looking at financial planning, is when people say that they're going to retire and they get to an age, let's say nowadays 65 or whatever. In the old days, you would get a pension or you know, it doesn't matter. The point is, there's been a lot of evidence that shows that once people stop doing their primary work, their health declines and rapidly if they haven't planned properly for what else they're going to do, both emotionally, mentally, and physically. So this is not something that's just made up for the sake of comics or whatever. Maybe the idea that Bane was a little too complacent is what allows Azrael to whoop him. Because he figures, I already did all this. Someone else coming along, they're going to be no match whatsoever. So how on earth does he get beat? Well, we whatsoever. So how on earth does he get beat? Well, we know how he gets beat. It's because it was something that he didn't expect. It's because that wasn't his goal. His goal wasn't who's the next bat. It was, I don't need to do anything else.
I know I've been quiet. Sorry, I'm trying to do a couple of things off on the side while I edit my Let's Plays on PS4. There's kind of a zen quality to the whole process. Hey, King, correct. Yeah, there is kind of a zen quality. And I know I've been quiet lately. It's just, the fact that I'm trying to do like umpteen things while I'm listening. And I said that earlier. Normally that's what I'm doing. I'm editing while doing other stuff because I don't have to look at the video, the window the whole time while I'm editing. But as soon as something catches my ear, I have to go back and listen to it. So I apologize if you came on and you're like, oh, he's just sort of staring off. I'm doing something else. And like I said, when Doc is speaking, I don't want to say zone out more, but I don't have to pay as much attention to him because Doc is pretty eloquent with his words. And that's not a statement, of saying like, oh, he's a well-spoken, whatever. I don't want to get into that.
It's bad. It was, I don't need to do anything else. I'm done. And so if that's the way you live your life, if you say, if I just get this one thing, everything will be happy, be very careful what you wish for. Because if you get it too soon, or if you get it too easily, or if you just plain old get it at any point and you don't have a plan for another goal, then yeah, you're done.
Very wise word.
Don't stop. Get it. Get it.
Yeah, you're done.
Very wise words. So we're going to take a break and we're going to plug a few shows. And then we come back, we're going to get into treatment. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
And now this is the fun part where I figure out what shows I want to insert promos for. Sometimes I go back and I see who we've recently plugged and who we haven't plugged in a while, and then that's who gets that's who gets the promo plug. Let's see. Haven't done Talk Me Into in a while. So I'll pop that one in. And then see, I just did We're All Mad here. I need more shows to plug. I just did Into the Night. And I haven't done Friday the 13th. So. And then who should, let's go with Gail Simone. Let me edit the source file because I think she's a little quiet. So I'll give her a 6 decibel boost.
Back.
Hi, this is Jimmy from the podcast Talk Me Into, the show where my co-hosts Dan, Jeff, and I talk each other, and maybe even you, into liking what we like. Here's a little taste of our show.
I need another episode.
Whoa! My God, I was not expecting this.
It claps too.
It does. It do clap. It's a proper bop.
Jeff and Jimmy, did I talk you into liking spoilers? No.
If you feel so inclined, you can listen to our show every Tuesday. Find us in every podcasting app and follow us on Twitter at TalkMeInto.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Maddie.
Do you like horror movies?
I sure do.
Well, did you know that most horror movies are inspired by real-life horror?
Really? Like what?
Well, take The Shining, for instance. That's based on Stephen King's real-life addictions, or The Purge, which could be our country any minute now.
Oh, and The Strangers, which is based on a real-life murder. People should be talking about these things.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Producer Michael.
Hi.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but somebody already is. It's you.
That's right. We are Friday the 13th, the podcast where we talk about horror in real life and horror in media, all from an LGBTQ perspective.
Because we gay, y'all.
We are proud members of the Legion Podcast Network, and we can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Come along with us on this crazy journey, and as always,
get slayed.
Hi, I'm Gail Simone, and you're listening to Capes on the Couch.
All right. So there we go. That's how I throw in all of the plugs. And
For some reason, usually doesn't happen with these headphones, but for some reason, speaking of fucking goals, Sabrina.
Yes, well, she posted on Facebook, but I was just like, okay, she's very excited, and she's wearing. Also, apropos of nothing, the XFL, not the worst thing in the world.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody, by the way,
Certainly not,
caught.
it's better than the AAF.
Yeah, the
AAF was like D3. This is like D1 FCS.
Okay.
This is this is FCS level.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So now I'm just trying to find out.
Jackie was at the game. And we're back. Treatment.
All right. And then zoom back to.
Listening to Capes on the Couch.
And we're back.
So treatment starts at 34:35. All plugs for Talk Me Into and Friday the 13th. Plus Gail Simone.
In universe. Vaya con Dios.
Okay. Wow. Oh dear. If there's one thing that Bane respects, it's strength, and I don't mean physical strength. It's the idea that you're not going to back down to him. And more importantly, although he's gotten away from the venom, I don't think you just turn that off. I don't mean that I want him to get back on it. I just want to point out that he needs a different angle than what he's been approaching recently, because all of it has had to do with how do I get back or find out more about all of the things that I missed in life. And that's very powerful for him. So I think focusing
By the
on
way,
the
just
idea that
my father,
you went
as I
through
think
an experimental
some of you
chemical
were here earlier.
Trial.
My father is coming over. We have to do
Didn't have a
insulation up in my
relationship
attic.
with your
So
biological father.
I think once he gets here,
until you found out later, you had to endure Lazarus pits, and you have an arch
So once he
nemesis
gets
slash,
over-
I'll say frenemy in Batman, where you've won and you've lost. So in this really, really messed up way, when you think about it, you have the opportunity for a stable family. How do you turn it around? How do you make it so that you have this?
oh, hey, Pop. I literally just texted you. I was like, oh. Okay. All right. Well, so my father just showed up, so I have to go now.
You don't. Stay there.
I don't.
No, well, you're not going to be upstairs.
Okay. I'm streaming the editing process on YouTube, so.
That's everything. Cutter. Wrapping paper.
Oh.
Got the cutter in there, so you slide, pull out what you need, and you go. You slide this down the tube, and it slices it right off. You don't have to.
Yeah. It's very handy. It's a little cutter for wrapping paper.
Cool, huh?
You sure you don't need my help with anything?
No, I'll go upstairs. I'm going to cut a bundle open. I got a mask, I got gloves, I'm going to lay it down and see what goes.
Okay.
I may need a garbage bag.
Well, garbage bags, if you need a big garbage bag, they're under the kitchen sink. Well, okay then. I guess I don't have to go anywhere. So, back to editing then.
Have this horrible criminal father, along with this potential best frenemy, along with the types of things that usually destroy best frenemy, along with the types of things that usually destroy a person, making you one of the most powerful humans on the planet. I think there is an opportunity there. And I think that we could create such a Mexican standoff amongst the people involved that you end up in this truce situation where nobody really likes each other, but they get more done than if they just leave each other alone. And sometimes you need someone that's willing to review all of this.
I wasn't sure where
in a
Doc was
delicate
going with this when he
balance
started talking
so
like
that
Mexican standoff. I'm going, what?
none of these sides destroys the other. I think
A
I'd be
family?
willing
Like,
to
what are you
take on
talking
that
about?
challenge. And let's be honest, is this truly a treatment that I would do out of universe? Absolutely not. But the reason why I'd want to take on this challenge...
Yep.
There's no big bag. I can use one of these, I guess.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I can text Catchy's actually at the grocery store.
I'm just saying it's not under there. And there's a thing on the counter.
Yeah, that's defrosting.
Okay. I'll just, somebody left it out. All right, I'm going upstairs.
Okay.
is because when we're dealing with an in-comic universe, I feel like I can create a character for myself that basically sounds like a wrestling character that I wanted to be if I ever got into wrestling. I know I've described that to you. You know I described that to you. To clue everybody in, this was on a trip to a bachelor party.
This happened as we were driving up to
I
Montreal.
described myself as someone who would never be a true face, but basically would love to be a Machiavellian schemer that would pit different sides against each other. I'd never want to be the alpha dog. I'd never be the number one guy. I wouldn't mind being the lieutenant, though, that would be in different people's ears and just watching all these puppets dance.
He wants to be the Starscream, is essentially what he's describing.
Yes, absolutely.
The Starscream, that's a... 3821.
Absolutely. And I feel like with these types of characters, with the exception of Bruce absolutely calling me out and just totally destroying me, I'm not even worried about Bane. I'm not worried about his father. I'm not worried about Ra's. I'm worried about Batman. I think he would absolutely just blow this whole plan up. But I think it's intricate enough that as long as he's more on the outside looking in, I think I could get away with it for a long period of time. In other words, I think we could end up in a situation where we ended up with Bane as a president of some Central American country. You end up with his father dealing with like some sort of country. You end up with his father dealing with like some sort of drug cartel that keeps all the economy flowing. You end up with Ra's trying to cleanse all that money overseas in the Middle East. And you have Batman, who unfortunately, quote unquote, ends up being the one that takes out all of their other competitors. So they get to all live rich, happy lives. And because none of the citizenry knows what's going on, that area of the world that they're dominating actually is a better place for it.
Huh.
Better place for it.
Huh. Fascinating.
Either that or it all ends in a war and we all get destroyed. Well, you know.
Yeah, 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yes, people, I have fun with this, okay? If anybody actually considers that to be like a true treatment, please know that we're entertainers as well, okay? But my point was, though, that
Love how
Bane
Doc
needs a
had to throw in the
healthy
disclaimer, like,
environment.
no, that's
He
not
needs
actually what
healthy
I'm
people around him
suggesting.
because he's never had it before. So the sooner that you can create that for someone that's gone through as much as he has from the very start, the better. That really is my point.
So now transition.
That's my point.
So now transitioning to out of universe.
And out of universe starts at 40.
No, you can't come up with someone that was just raised purely.
No. Out of universe.
No, you can't come up with someone that was just raised purely in jail. Don't do that, please.
I wasn't going to. What I was going to say is someone with a very hard family life growing up. We'll throw in substance issues, violent issues, violent tendencies, antisocial disorder. Antisocial disorder. There's a lot going on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What is your realistic treatment option for someone with those particular situations?
As you alluded to, it's multifactorial. Depends on the age of the person. Obviously, you can deal with a sapling way better than a full oak tree. So if you can have some sort of early intervention, that's fantastic. If we're dealing with an adult, then that ship has sailed, but that doesn't mean that you can't create a better environment. That doesn't mean that you can't do couples therapy if they're in a relationship. That doesn't mean you can't do family therapy if you want to involve more people or they're still an adolescent. In addition to that, you mentioned the substance background, and
I wanted to wait until my son was asleep. Awake.
If the person needs detox rehab, then you also address that. If it's a matter of a person that has a history of violent tendencies, then we can almost always trace it back to the trauma that they experienced as a child. And at some point, you're going to have to deal with that. So each of these can have its own format of treatment. So if we're talking biopsychosocial model, the biological would be making sure that the person is off of the substances and has the appropriate support treatment and potentially medication to deal with that. If it's also from the psychological, making sure that they're willing to address the traumatic events in a healthy setting with the appropriate therapist for their level of understanding. And from the social aspect, if it's an environment that they actually can have some influence and improve, then you encourage them to do so and help them find the resources in their particular area to facilitate that. If it's a matter where they have less agency but are able to still invoke some type of control, then you give them ways to escape discreetly. For example, even though we're talking about a male here, one of the most common formats is, for example, a woman in an abusive relationship. You can actually slip information. They call them lipstick packets. It's literally the name.
Lipstick packets. That was a thing I did not know about. Totally makes sense. And that was at 42, 43.
Of a shelter for battered women. Shelter for battered women and the contact information, but it's in a lipstick container so nobody knows. If we're talking a child, obviously Child Protective Services, if it's necessary. You do everything you can just to cover as many bases as possible. That is truly the bread and butter of what we do on a regular basis. So as daunting as it sounds, as long as you recognize that you are not the one person to fix all of it, then you won't lead this person astray. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a psychiatrist. This could be someone's primary care doctor. This could be someone's pastor. This could be someone's concerned neighbor. All you have to do is get the ball rolling in any one of those areas, and most professionals do have the skill set to at least start to integrate the rest. So I think my call this episode is, don't worry about doing everything as long as you can do something.
Okay.
You don't have to do everything as long as you can do something. So we've got another fan of ours who's upset. So hey, Robbie, sorry, I didn't know it was your birthday party. I apologize.
Necessarily in those words, or
all right, got to go back.
As you can do something.
Okay. I think we've said that before, maybe not necessarily in those words or in this circumstance, but we have definitely said and spoken about the idea that you can't eat the apple in one shot. But you do have to take bites at it. And as long as you take bites at it and continue to take bites at it, you will eventually eat the whole thing.
Yeah. Because let's be honest, you don't have to go to comics, or at least I don't, to know that there are some really big bad dudes that have had incredibly traumatic childhoods with substance problems that end up with anger issues, and they want to take it out on the person that they're dealing with. Oh, yeah, that's me in the emergency room or on the inpatient unit. So, yeah, in those moments, I know better than to, as you said, try and take the entire apple.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens when we take all of this and we put a mask on it. Let's see what happens when we get Bane on Dr. Issues' couch. Will this be your reckoning?
He was not having it the entire episode. Whenever I was doing whenever I would do the Bane voice, he always seemed to get very upset with me. I'm not really sure why. I did not appreciate it. Just like I don't appreciate Todd forgetting my name. Goddamn millennials. I'm here every day, Todd. All my razzie zazzy. Seriously, such a great show. You all seriously need to check it out. If you have DC Universe.
I groan every time.
Yes,
every time. Why?
I hate the voice.
Then maybe you shouldn't watch the Harley Quinn show. Because that's how they make him speak. But it's done in a very, very funny way.
For a cartoon, it's fine. It's fine. For a frickin' cinematic movie that was a part of what I thought was a fantastic movie series, not so much. It took me out of that movie every time. I'm like, really? Okay, anyway. Wait, where did I put? Oh, it's over here. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm trying to get.
You're gonna do strong bad is what you're gonna do.
No, this is strong bad.
I know.
Scroll Robertones. Yes. I'm going to try and get some sort of a Latin American accent. All right.
Okay.
I'm trying to get.
I'm gonna mix that clip down. What? Oh. And save that for the bloopers. Being strong bad. So that'll get thrown into the blooper reel.
I'm going to try and get some sort of a Latin American accent.
Ricardo Montalban.
The rich Corinthian leather. I'm trying to. It is not easy for me to do this because my original idea was to just do the Tom Hardy version, but
you can if you want. It's fine. I won't groan every time.
You are so
I swear.
needy and stupid.
No, I want to be more accurate to the comics.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right, let us do this.
Okay.
Let us do this thing.
All right. In 3, 2. Okay, I'm sorry. I know that just killed it.
But you just ruined the moment.
Yeah. Okay. In 3, 2. Hello, Bane. I'm Dr. Issues.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
How are you doing today?
And let's see, the skit starts at 45:04. Oh, this is a short episode. Did not realize how short this one was.
As well as can be expected, considering my current situation.
I recognize that this isn't ideal for you.
Situation?
I recognize that this isn't ideal for you. But then again, I have to take precautions for safety, both mine and yours.
My safety was never in question. I can take care of myself. You, on the other hand, I cannot guarantee your safety.
Wow, the threat came earlier than I expected. Well, at least we got it out of the way, and now we can move on.
I am not the sort to make idle threats, Doctor.
Uh-oh, I know. But if you were expecting to frighten me, I'll just say this isn't the first time I've been threatened.
No, but it will be the last.
I've heard that too. Can we progress?
Do you enjoy being in control?
It's not a question of enjoyment. It's a requirement in my position. Surely you can appreciate that.
But you wouldn't continue to do it if you didn't enjoy it, correct?
I enjoy helping people become better versions of themselves. Everything else is ancillary.
Do you feel like you're in control now?
Tell me about the mask.
Deflection. That's amusing.
Did you make it yourself? Did you constantly upgrade it?
Your interest in my apparel is inauthentic.
Well, your interest in this session is just as genuine, so I thought I'd match the mood.
And now we're starting to get somewhere.
What makes you say that?
You're beginning to get agitated, so you respond flippantly instead of your calm demeanor.
Well, I don't use tabula rasa, so I do have a typical range of reactions, but you're nowhere near ticking me off.
Your ability to show restraint is admirable, but it will fade.
Okay, got it. I've had years of...
Fade.
I've had years of training to endure all types of personalities, so clearly you think you have some advantage that I don't see.
My advantage is that I have also been trained, and my mentors were far more brutal than yours. It is not a matter of if, but when I will leave here.
You have no idea how many times I've heard that line.
And you have no idea how many times I've been restrained by those far better than the likes of you. Yet, here I sit.
Yet another attempt to denigrate me, but I'll admit that I don't understand your calm nature. Like, I've heard about your rage. I mean, why this cat and mouse game?
If you are questioning why I don't simply punch my way out of here, then you are far more foolish than I originally anticipated. Every situation is an opportunity for learning, even one that appears to be disadvantageous on its face.
Well, I know your perceived advantage. You're a mastermind, and you just don't happen to need a separate strongman. That's not very hard to understand. You know, actually, I come to you kind of humble because I'm willing to admit I'm only bringing my mind to this challenge.
And now you try to curry favor with me by acquiescing the physical side of this confrontation?
I don't know where my
Your
cat
wounded
went.
gazelle gambit is noted.
Well, to be fair, if I thought
Wounded Gazelle Gambit. That's right. That's what I wanted to mention. Wounded Gazelle Gambit. Anthony 4807.
in physical danger, I wouldn't be in the... Sorry. To be fair...
But it is noted. Noted.
To be fair, if I thought I was truly in physical danger, I wouldn't be in your vicinity in the first place. A statement of fact and a...
All right. Coming. Sit tight. I'll be right back.
Hi, hi, hi. You say you're almost done, man? You say you're almost done?
I'm almost done with Bane here.
Good. That's what you have to finish, right?
What's with the David Buster bags in the back?
Oh, Diana gave me a whole bunch of, like, Caliber and older stuff. And we're going to throw out. I just haven't, had the heart or the chance to bring it aside. We had a great time.
You had fun with Mommy?
So much fun. We was chatting, we was flirting.
I'm on the skip now, so maybe 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. So, and then once I'm done with that, I'll stop streaming everything. I won't stream the second. You know, whenever I go back and I leave, whenever I'm on the stream. Let me ask you. Hey, Pop, you want anything to eat? We're making lunch.
Sorry about that, and I'm back. Okay. I'm almost done with the editing process. And then my very boisterous son in the background, I don't know if you can hear him. So once I get done with this episode, the stream is going to be done because then I'm going to go eat lunch. But I'm almost done, so you can hang with me.
Complimentary tone doesn't change the veracity.
You regularly place yourself in harm's way in these sessions, yet you still fail to appreciate the risk. I'm unsure if that makes you bold or a buffoon.
Well, I do my best not to take the coward's way out. I mean, sometimes you have to face your fears.
Is that some sort of attempt at bridging the gap between us? If so, it is very sloppy.
Maybe so, but we have limited time, so we need to address the elephant in the room.
You mean the bat?
I don't use this term often. I just looked it up. Corruptophobia? Is that how you say it? Just looked it up. Corruptophobia? Is that how you say it?
Yes, fear of bats. Yes, that is how you say it.
So, I can help...
That is how you say it.
So, I can help you address that in a healthy way, but there has to be a certain level of trust.
I do not foresee a scenario in which I trust you.
Really? I know that you're an eager student for knowledge. I want to give you more tools besides such a corruptible substance that you've had as a crutch.
And that's all. Garbage.
Crutch.
You think this venom is a crutch?
I think...
And the pause is just a little bit too long.
A crutch?
I think you're not spending enough time sharpening your mind because you focus so much on abusing your body.
My fair doctor, I no longer have need of venom to sustain me. The withdrawal was more excruciating of an endeavor than you could possibly fathom. But survive I did. And now here I sit before you, a clean man devoid of any poison in my body or my mind. Or rather,
Hold on, babe. I'll start the Spotify playlist. My kid likes to listen to Disney music. There we go. It's the beauty of technology. I can sit in here and I can turn on the Spotify playlist. And then the only other thing I need to do is throw in some chains breaking sound effects. Now I know you're marching north, 'cause I am lost in the world. I can hear it. So I'm lost in the woods. It's just such a catchy song that I swear that the song, the entire sequence in this movie is like the greatest thing Disney has done in the last 10 years. It is just such a beautiful parody and just distillation of the late 80s, early 90s power ballad. So now that I downloaded that file, let me go to my downloads and bring in the chain sound effect. Let me just go right into the multi-track. I think that was the one I wanted.
Or rather, I stand before you.
Well,
For you.
well, shit. Shit.
Good day, Doctor.
Oh yeah, I also probably need neck break sound effect. Yeah, that was convert next. So once I get this neck break sound effect, once it gets done converting the video, but I'll wait for a sign. I'm your path. And then breaking neck sound effect. That's all the
Doctor.
Whoops, I do not want to delete the entire file. The entire rest of the file.
In 3, 2. You okay, Doc?
And the ending starts at 49:57.
Been better.
You've been worse.
Well, I wasn't stabbed or whatever the thing is Venom did, or frozen. Yeah, I guess. Oh well.
Neck broken. I think that's a first. I think that's a first on the show.
Yeah. Or as Triple H would say on Tough Enough, good snap.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
Sorry. That just came to me. I don't oh, God.
So that's going to just about wrap it up. Before we leave, we're...
Oh, yeah. Triple H Toughen Up, we'll say that was, what, 50-20?
Introduce something new that we've never done before, but recommended reading. You know, we're almost 70 issues in at this point, and there are some fantastic stories out there involving these characters. And so what we're going to do now is, before we head out every week, we're going to recommend a particular story that we think it best suits these characters, that really sort of captures who they are, captures their essence. And so this is being the first one. I feel it's really only appropriate that we recommend Batman Nightfall, because that is the story, that is the Bane story, that is consistently referenced pretty much throughout the rest of his history. And it's the whole story of how Bane breaks Batman. So that original 1993-94 story, if you find the trade paperbacks, that is the recommended Bane story. And we are working on, we're not there yet, but we are working on getting Amazon affiliate status. And so at a future time, we will have links on the website where you will be able to go and buy the books that we are referencing. And we may get a small commission based on those sales, but it's just sort of a way to encourage you to read additional comics, to get folks out there enjoying the source material that we talk about on a regular basis. So that's something that we're working on. But in the meantime, we do encourage you to go out and find a trade paperback or find digital copies. I'm sure it's on Comixology somewhere. But reading reading the Batman Nightfall story. So that's going to do it for this episode. The next episode, as I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, due to some scheduling, I'm going to be away on vacation, but we are going to bring you a special preview of the Patreon exclusive reviews. So Doc and I are going to be reviewing the Joker Endgame trade paperback.
I will not be streaming that.
And then the following week, we're going to get back into our usual swing of things. And we're going to
go a lot
talk about political terrorism in comics, primarily centered around V for Vendetta, but also a number of other books. And then The Tick, and then Abe Sapien. So those are some of our episodes that we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to suggest some shows, if you want to find out more about what our fans are chatting about, you can join our Discord community at tinyurl.com/capesdiscord, capital C and capital D. You can also join our Facebook group. You can email us at capesonthecouch@gmail.com, or you can follow us on social media, pretty much on Facebook, Instagram, and especially Twitter at Capes on the Couch. And our website, as always, is capesonthecouch.live. And you can find us pretty much wherever you find podcasts. And as I said at the top of the show, if you leave us a review, it doesn't even have to be 5 stars. If you leave us any review and you screen cap it and email it to us, capesonthecouch@gmail.com, we'll send you a sticker, because at least that means that you were listening to the show and you took the time to rate and review us. And we definitely appreciate that. So, Doc, anything you want to say before we leave?
Well, as long as you focus on your mental health properly, it won't be the bane of your existence.
Yes, and also Yes, and also I suggest you go and watch the Harley Quinn show on DC Universe.
God.
Come on, Todd, I'm here every day. Goddamn millennials. Come on, Todd, I'm here every day. Goddamn millennials. The streets will run with Razzie Zazzies.
And if anyone wants Anthony to keep going with this, please let us know. Or if you want him to stop, please let us know immediately.
So that's going to do it for Doc Issues. I'm Anthony Sitko. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
And then so now that's done. I'll import our outro. Line that up with the ending. That's done. And just give it a look-see. Got the sound effects there. And then I go into multi-track and I mix the entire session down to a new file. So that process, let's see, how long have I been streaming? I've been streaming for 2 hours and 15 minutes. That is surprisingly concise for a full-length episode. sometimes it takes me like 3 hours to edit. It honestly depends on it depends on the source, frankly, is the biggest thing. If my source is good and we don't make that many mistakes, then we can bang through it in a good amount of time. If there's a lot of mistakes, or if it's a character that requires post-processing in audio for the skit, somebody like Venom where I have to do a lot with the voice, or we're going for like a particular audio effect, or there's a lot of sound effects heavy in the skit, then that tends to chew up a lot of time in the editing process. But so now while I am doing that, let me open up the logo so I can create the custom logo, which is it's not custom artwork, it's our logo plus I'm literally doing it in Paint, like MS Paint, because that's all I frankly need. I'm always jealous of folks. Somebody like Cage's Kiss has really cool custom artwork for each episode, or Ignorance Was Bliss has custom artwork for every episode, and I'm always jealous of those folks because they're far more artistically talented than I am. All right, so we got about another minute and a half, and then I will bring up the MP3 tagger, and then once it's done processing, then I will save the MP3s. I save the censored version, that goes on our main feed, and then the uncensored goes to our patrons. And then I edit the tags and everything, and then I'll show you how I upload to Libsyn and to Patreon. And then that's that, and then the episode is done. And it'll be in the hands of our patrons. So that's always it's always a fun thing. It's cool to get it this early. Typically, we don't release to patrons until Monday or Tuesday, but because we're leaving for vacation on Tuesday for the rest of the week, that kind of puts a time crunch on me to get this done. So my incredibly patient and gracious wife says, I'll let you edit, even though like there's cleaning to be done, there's packing to be done. I spend time with my kid at some point. This is the life of a podcaster, is editing and getting the stuff done. That's why I love guest appearances on other people's shows, because I'm on their show, and then that's that, and I don't have to worry about anything else. All right, so I will save this now I save this in the finished episodes, and I save this as uncensored. What happened? My wife is forever bonking my son's head. It's a regular thing. I'd say it's almost like a joke at this point, but I'm not sure that the CTE that my kid is going to end up with by the time he's 12 is going to be a joke. The kid suffered more trauma than a lineman, for God's sakes. Luke Kuechly is going to call up my son and go, "Are you all right, man? You're looking a little foggy." So that's the uncensored version.
Shit.
And then I generate the tone.
God damn it. God damn it. God damn millennials.
So I save those two little bleeps. And then once that gets done saving, now I'm going to switch the window over to the MP3 tag. I wasn't looking in any of the bags.
Okay, you didn't take them out then.
No. The only thing I took out was the cereals.
Alright, are you almost done?
Yep. So this is, as you can see, the list of all of our podcasts. This is a list of all the episodes that we have. This is the folder. So this is me tagging. Whoops, Capes on the couch. And so I save that. And then just make sure that I tag that as the uncensored version. And so now I'm going to bring you over to I said I'm going to bring you over to Chrome so you can see Libsyn. Okay, you've just added a browser source. Why can't I just do the browser that I have? Why? Yes, I want to remove browser. Why won't it let me? Okay. Well, I'm not really sure why it's not letting me show. I'm not sure why it won't let me show you the actual uploading process. But as there seems to be an issue with this in OBS, and I don't know why, I guess at this point I'm just going to end the stream because all I have left to do is upload it, and since it's all internet based and I can't show you what I'm doing on the internet, then it's pointless. So Thank you for everybody who watched. Whoever is still in the room, I appreciate it, or I don't know if that counts as me. But thank you so much for watching. This has been a kind of a little fun behind-the-scenes show. And you get to see sort of what editing is like. So I may do this again more regularly, but it'll be a while before I'm editing again. So thanks for watching, and stick around, and hope you enjoy the finished version once it comes out on Wednesday. So peace, y'all.